The crystal towers of Nexus Prime reached into the purple sky like frozen lightning. Inside the tallest spire, the Galactic Federation's Emergency Council sat in perfect circles around a glowing hologram. The image showed twisted metal floating in space, what remained of Patrol Fleet 7. Council leader Vexithara's tentacles twitched with anger. For 300 years, no species had dared attack Federation ships. The galaxy knew better. The Federation brought peace, order, and civilization to barbaric worlds. Those who refused learned harsh lessons. "Show me again," Vexithara commanded. The hologram changed. Space debris scattered around a small blue planet. 12 Federation ships, each the size of a city, had been reduced to scrap metal. The primitive world called Earth had done this impossible thing. "How many survivors?" asked Council Member Zelmar. "One scout ship. The captain is badly injured but alive," reported Intelligence Officer Kalnith. "The humans used crude kinetic weapons, solid metal projectiles fired at high speed. Our shields could not stop them." Gasps echoed through the chamber. Kinetic weapons were ancient technology. Civilized species had abandoned such crude methods thousands of years ago. Energy shields were designed to deflect plasma and laser weapons, not chunks of metal. "Impossible," whispered Vexithara. "No species uses kinetic weapons anymore." "These humans do," Kalnith replied. "They also used chemical explosives inside small attack craft. The primitive weapons overwhelmed our defenses." Council member Darvex leaned forward. "What do we know about these humans?" The hologram shifted to show Earth, a blue and green world with white clouds. "They achieved spaceflight recently. Their technology is crude but effective. They have colonies on nearby planets and asteroid mining operations. Population estimates suggest 8 billion on the homeworld. 8 billion primitives destroyed our patrol fleet," Vexithara said slowly. "This cannot happen again." The council members agreed. If word spread that primitive weapons could defeat Federation ships, rebellions would start across the galaxy. Suppressed species would remember their old ways of war. The Federation's reign would end. "Send the ultimatum," Vexithara decided. "Standard terms. 30 galactic standard days to surrender. If they refuse, we destroy them completely. On Earth?" Captain Hyunwoo received the alien message in his small office at Luna Base. The surviving Federation scout had broadcast on all human communication channels. The translation software worked perfectly, too perfectly. The aliens wanted humans to understand every word. The message was simple and terrifying. Earth had 30 days to surrender unconditionally. Human leaders would be taken to Nexus Prime for trial. Earth would become a Federation colony. Humans would serve as workers on other worlds. Resistance would result in the complete destruction of human civilization. Hyunwoo read the message 3 times. His hands shook slightly. He had commanded the defense fleet that destroyed the alien ships. It had been Earth's first contact with aliens, and it had gone badly wrong. The Federation ships had appeared without warning. They had demanded immediate surrender. When human ships approached to negotiate, the aliens had opened fire. Earth's fleet had responded with everything they had: railguns, missile swarms, and kamikaze drones packed with nuclear warheads. The alien ships were huge and powerful, but they fought like machines following a program. Human pilots were unpredictable, desperate, and willing to die for their home. The battle had lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 11 Federation ships were destroyed and 1 was fleeing. Now the consequences had arrived. Hyunwoo activated his communication system and sent an urgent message to Earth Defense Command. Within hours, Admiral So-Jin was reading the alien ultimatum in her secure office beneath the Rocky Mountains. So-Jin had fought in 3 wars. She had seen good soldiers die and bad orders followed. She knew fear and courage both. But this message filled her with something new. Cold calculation mixed with burning anger. The aliens wanted Earth to surrender. They wanted to drag human leaders across space for trial. They wanted to scatter humanity across their empire as slaves. They had made one critical mistake. They had given Earth 30 days to prepare. "Get me the president," So-Jin told her aide. "Then contact General Tejo at the lunar shipyards. Tell him we need to talk about Project Indomitable." Project Indomitable had been humanity's dream for 50 years. A true warship built with the best human technology and everything they had learned from captured alien wreckage. The project had been delayed again and again due to cost and technical problems. So-Jin walked to her window and looked up at the sky. Somewhere out there, alien ships were gathering to destroy Earth. Traditional diplomacy would not work. The aliens had made their intentions clear. Earth would fight or die. She made her decision. General Tejo received Sojin's call at midnight lunar time. He had been working on fusion reactor designs in his cluttered laboratory. Empty coffee cups and technical drawings covered every surface. "We need the Indomitable operational in 28 days, Sojin said without greeting. Tejo nearly dropped his coffee cup. "Admiral, that's impossible. The ship is 60% complete. The fusion reactor isn't tested. The weapon systems need months of calibration. The crew training alone would take 28 days, Sojin repeated. Use everything we have. Every captured alien component. Every experimental weapon. Every crazy idea our engineers have been saving." Tejo understood. This was not about building a perfect ship. This was about building a ship that could reach the aliens and hurt them badly. Quality could wait. Earth needed quantity and speed. "I'll need unlimited resources," Tejo said. "Every shipyard, every factory, every worker who can hold a wrench. You have them. And I'll need Dr. Yunhee's team from the Alien Technology Division. Already on their way to Luna." Tejo smiled grimly. Sojin had planned this conversation before making the call. The Admiral was already thinking like a wartime leader. "One more thing," Tejo said. "If we build this ship in 28 days, it might not come back. The crew will be flying an untested experimental vessel into unknown space to face impossible odds." "I know," Sojin replied. "But it's better than waiting here for the aliens to arrive. At least this way we choose where humanity makes its stand." The call ended. Tejo looked around his laboratory one last time, then began making calls. Within 6 hours, every human shipyard was working around the clock. The Indomitable would be completed on time. Earth had chosen war. In the deep space between stars, Federation scout ships reported back to their command fleet. The human world showed massive industrial activity. Ships were moving between planets. Communications traffic had increased dramatically. The primitives were preparing for war. It would make no difference. The Federation had crushed 1,000 rebellions. One more primitive species would learn the price of defying galactic order. The countdown to Earth's destruction had begun. 27 days after the alien ultimatum, the EDS Indomitable hung in space above Luna like a steel mountain. The ship stretched 3 kilometers from nose to tail, bristling with weapons that had never been tested together. Human engineers had worked without sleep to complete the impossible task. Captain Jun-Ki floated through the ship's corridors, checking systems that should have taken months to install. Everything looked wrong by normal standards. Cables ran along walls instead of through proper channels. Weapon systems from different manufacturers had been forced to work together. The ship's hull showed welding marks where sections had been joined in desperate haste, but it worked. Somehow it all worked. "Status report," Jun-Ki called to his bridge crew as he entered the command center. Lieutenant Yuna looked up from her tactical station. Her dark eyes were red from exhaustion, but her voice was steady. "All major systems online. Fusion reactor at 90% efficiency. Weapon systems ready. We have enough supplies for 6 months. And the crew? 12,000 volunteers from every branch of Earth's military. They know this is a one-way trip." Jun-Ki nodded. The Indomitable was humanity's only hope, but it was also likely humanity's tomb. The ship would travel to Nexus Prime and face whatever fleet the aliens had waiting. The odds of survival were nearly 0. "Launch in 2 hours," he announced. "Signal Earth Command that we are ready." In the ship's data center, Communications Officer Ji-Hai worked frantically with captured alien computers. For weeks, she had been breaking Federation communication codes. The work was difficult and dangerous. Alien computer viruses had destroyed 3 human systems already. But she had found something incredible. "Captain," Ji-Hai called over the ship's intercom, "you need to see this." Jun-Ki made his way to the data center where Ji-Hai had alien text scrolling across multiple screens. The translation software worked slowly, converting alien symbols into human words. "What am I looking at?" Jun-Ki asked. "Federation communication logs from the past 50 years, Ji-Hai replied. "I've been tracking their messages between different star systems. Captain, the Federation isn't what they claim to be." She brought up a star map showing the local galaxy. Red dots marked Federation-controlled systems. Green dots showed independent worlds. The pattern was clear. The green dots were disappearing over time. "Every few years, the Federation finds a new species," Ji-Hai explained. "First contact always follows the same pattern. The Federation demands surrender. If the species refuses, they are destroyed. If they agree, they become slave colonies. Junki studied the map. Hundreds of species had faced the same choice Earth now faced. Most had surrendered and lost their freedom. Those who fought had been completely destroyed. How many species has the Federation conquered? He asked. Over 3,000 in the past millennium. Some were destroyed completely. Others were turned into mining colonies or agricultural worlds. None remained truly independent after Federation contact. The implications were staggering. The Federation was not bringing peace to the galaxy. They were destroying every civilization that might someday challenge their rule. Show me more, Junki ordered. Jihai brought up communication logs from individual star systems. The stories were all similar and horrible. The Velthari had been master crystal growers before the Federation arrived. Now they worked in Federation factories, their artistic culture forgotten. The Morthak had been explorers who lived in gas giant clouds. The Federation had forced them onto rocky planets where they slowly died. Captain, Jihai said quietly, there's something else. I've been monitoring current Federation communications. They're not just sending a fleet to destroy Earth. What do you mean? They're calling it the Final Solution Fleet. 200 ships commanded by their best admiral. But it's not just for us. The Federation is planning to use our destruction as a warning to every other species in the galaxy. They want to make sure no one ever fights back again. Junki felt cold anger growing in his chest. The Federation planned to use humanity's death as a tool of fear. Earth would be destroyed not just to eliminate a threat, but to terrify other species into permanent submission. Any good news in those communications? He asked. Jihai smiled for the first time in weeks. Actually, yes. The Federation has a problem they don't want to admit. Several species have hidden weapons and ships on remote worlds. The Altarians have secret bases in asteroid fields. The Velthari have been growing weapon crystals in hidden locations. The Morthak still have ships hidden in gas giant clouds. Are they planning to rebel? They're waiting for someone to start the fight. The Federation controls space around their home worlds, but they can't monitor every asteroid or gas cloud. If someone could prove the Federation can be beaten, Junki understood. Earth's destruction was meant to prevent rebellions, but Earth's victory could start them. The Indomitable was not just fighting for humanity, it was fighting for every enslaved species in the galaxy. Can you contact these hidden bases? He asked. I've been trying. Most are afraid to respond. But I did get one message from an Altarian base near the Nexus system. They're willing to help if we can prove humans can actually fight. The ship's intercom crackled. Captain to the bridge. We have an incoming Federation message. Junki hurried back to the bridge where Yuna had put the alien message on the main screen. The translation appeared line by line. Human vessel Indomitable. You are ordered to power down immediately and prepare for boarding. Your journey to Nexus Prime ends here. Resistance will result in immediate destruction. On the tactical display, Yuna showed 3 Federation ships approaching from different directions. Each ship was twice the size of the Indomitable and armed with proven weapons. They found us faster than expected, Yuna reported. Estimate intercept in 4 hours. Junki looked at his bridge crew. These men and women had volunteered for a mission they knew would probably kill them. Now they faced their first test earlier than planned, in Earth's own solar system rather than alien space. Battle stations, he ordered. Signal Earth Command that we are engaging the enemy. In the ship's engine room, Chief Engineer Minho checked the fusion reactor one last time. The massive machine had been built in 3 weeks using human and alien technology. It had never been properly tested, but it was producing more power than any human ship had ever carried. All stations report ready, Yuna announced. Junki sat in his command chair and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, enslaved species waited for a sign that freedom was possible. Earth had chosen to provide that sign. Take us to them, he ordered. The Indomitable turned toward the approaching Federation ships, its untested weapons powered up. Its improvised systems hummed with energy. Its crew prepared for humanity's second battle with the masters of the galaxy. This time, the galaxy would learn what humans could do when they had time to prepare. The 3 Federation ships moved through space like hunting wolves. Each one was massive, sleek, and powerful. Their hulls gleamed with energy shields that had never been penetrated by enemy weapons. For 300 years, these ships had brought swift destruction to anyone who dared fight the Federation. Captain Junki watched them approach on his tactical display. The Indomitable was outnumbered and outgunned by ships with proven technology. His own vessel was an untested experiment built in desperate haste. By every logical calculation, humanity was about to die. "Distance to enemy ships?" he asked. 50,000 kilometers in closing, reported Navigation Officer Sang Ho. "They're maintaining formation, approaching from 3 directions. Standard Federation tactic for dealing with single targets." Lieutenant Yuna studied her tactical screens. "Captain, they're not treating us as a serious threat. Look at their weapon patterns. They're using minimum power settings, probably planning to disable us for capture." Junki smiled grimly. The Federation had made their first mistake. They were thinking like conquerors, not warriors. They wanted prisoners to parade before the galaxy. They wanted to show other species what happened to rebels. "Weapons Officer Changmin, are our railguns ready?" he asked. "All 6 railgun batteries loaded and charged," Changmin replied from his station. "Tungsten slugs ready for firing. But Captain, at this range we only get 1 surprise attack before they adapt. Then we make it count. Target the lead ship's reactor section. Full power, all batteries. Sir, that will drain our capacitors completely. We won't be able to fire again for 90 seconds. 90 seconds is enough time to die, Junki said, but it's also enough time to win. Fire when ready." The Indomitable's railguns spoke with the voice of thunder. 6 tungsten slugs, each weighing 50 kilograms, accelerated to 20% of light speed in less than 2 seconds. The ship shuddered as massive amounts of energy converted into kinetic force. The Federation ships detected the incoming projectiles immediately. Their energy shields activated automatically, creating barriers designed to stop the most powerful plasma weapons in the galaxy. The slug struck the lead ship's shields and passed through them like they were not there. Solid matter could not be deflected by energy fields. The first slug punched through the Federation ship's hull and struck the reactor containment system. The second slug followed the same path, widening the hole. The third, fourth, fifth, and sixth slugs tore through vital systems, cutting the massive ship in half. The Federation ship exploded in a ball of superheated plasma. Debris scattered in all directions as the reactor lost containment. The explosion was so violent that the other 2 Federation ships were damaged by flying wreckage. "Direct hit," Changmin shouted. "Enemy ship destroyed!" The remaining Federation ships immediately changed tactics. Their confident approach became a desperate evasion pattern. Energy weapons began firing at maximum power, filling space with deadly plasma beams. "Evasive maneuvers," Junki ordered. "Release the drones." The Indomitable's hull opened in dozens of places. Small fighter craft poured out like angry insects. But these were not ordinary fighters. They were unmanned drones controlled by artificial intelligence and loaded with chemical explosives. The Federation ships had never faced drone swarms before. Their point defense systems were designed to stop missiles and torpedoes, large targets moving in predictable paths. The human drones were small, fast, and programmed to fly in chaotic patterns. Federation plasma beams destroyed dozens of drones, but hundreds more kept coming. The surviving Federation ships found themselves surrounded by tiny attackers that swarmed around their hulls like metal wasps. "Federation ship on the right is losing shield power," Yuna reported. "The drones are overloading their defensive systems." "Signal from the 3rd Federation ship," Communications Officer Ji-Hai announced. "They're requesting immediate reinforcements. They're calling this a Level 9 threat situation." Junki raised an eyebrow. "What's a Level 9 threat?" "According to Federation codes, it means a species that can actually hurt them," Ji-Hai replied. "They haven't used that code in over a century." The drones reached their targets. Explosions bloomed across the hulls of both Federation ships as chemical warheads detonated against armor plating. The ships were too large to be destroyed by such small explosives, but their weapon systems and sensors were being systematically wrecked. "Railguns recharged and ready," Changmin reported. "Target the ship with the damaged shields," Junki ordered. "Fire all batteries." Another volley of tungsten slugs crossed space. This time the Federation ship tried to evade, but it was too large and too slow. The slugs punched through weakened shields and tore through the ship's engineering section. The vessel began to break apart as internal explosions rippled along its hull. The 3rd Federation ship immediately turned and began retreating at maximum speed. Its captain had seen enough. 2 ships had been destroyed by weapons that should not have worked. The primitive humans were using technology that broke all the rules of civilized warfare. "Should we pursue?" Yuna asked. Let them run, Junki replied. They need to report what happened here. The galaxy needs to know that Federation ships can be destroyed. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Su Young treated 3 injured crew members who had been hurt during the battle. The Indomitable's untested systems had caused some problems, electrical overloads and structural stress from the railgun firing, but they had won. Against impossible odds using primitive weapons and crude tactics, humanity had destroyed 2 advanced alien warships and sent the 3rd fleeing in terror. Doctor, one of the injured men said, did we really just beat the Federation? We beat 3 of their ships, Su Young replied. But there are hundreds more waiting for us at Nexus Prime. The victory was real but incomplete. The Federation still had overwhelming numbers and advanced technology. But for the first time in 3 centuries, someone had proven they could be hurt. Word of the battle spread faster than light itself. Federation communication networks carried the impossible news to every corner of the galaxy. A primitive species with crude weapons had destroyed 2 Federation warships in direct combat. On the hidden Altarian base near Nexus Prime, rebel leader Kethmar received the news with amazement. For generations, his people had hidden in asteroid fields, afraid to fight the masters of the galaxy. Now someone had shown that victory was possible. Signal the human ship, he ordered. Tell them they have allies waiting. Similar messages came from Velthari crystal caves and Morthak gas cloud colonies. Species that had hidden their weapons for centuries began to prepare for war. The galaxy's slaves were remembering how to fight. But the Federation was also preparing. Fleet Admiral Zethmiran received reports of the battle with cold fury. 200 ships were already gathering for the assault on Earth. Now he would make the human extinction complete and terrible. The Indomitable continued toward Nexus Prime, carrying the hopes of 1,000 enslaved worlds. Behind it, Earth prepared for the final battle. Ahead of it, the largest fleet in galactic history waited in the darkness between stars. The war for galactic freedom had begun. Fleet Admiral Zethmiran stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Justice, watching holographic displays that showed the largest military fleet in Federation history. 200 ships stretched across space in perfect formation. Each vessel was a masterpiece of Federation engineering, armed with weapons that could destroy planets. The fleet had been gathering for 3 weeks at the edge of the Nexus system. Ships arrived daily from across Federation space, dreadnoughts, battlecruisers, destroyers, and support vessels. The finest crews in the galaxy operated these ships. The most advanced weapons ever built waited in their firing chambers. Status report, Zethmiran commanded. His tactical officer, Commander Velthos, consulted multiple displays. All ships report ready for combat. Long-range sensors show no enemy activity in the system. The human vessel appears to be traveling alone. One ship, Zethmiran said quietly. One primitive vessel destroyed 2 of our warships and sent a 3rd fleeing. How is this possible? Our analysis suggests they used kinetic weapons fired at relativistic speeds, Velthos replied, combined with swarm tactics using expendable drone units. These methods are unconventional. Zethmiran had read the battle reports dozens of times. The human tactics made no sense by civilized standards. Kinetic weapons were wasteful and crude. Drone swarms were expensive and inefficient. Chemical explosives were primitive and weak. But they had worked. Sir, the communications officer interrupted, we're receiving reports of unusual activity throughout Federation space. Several colony worlds are reporting equipment failures and communication blackouts. Elaborate. Mining operations on Velthari Prime have stopped. The crystal workers claim their tools are broken. Gas collection platforms in the Morthak system have gone silent. Altarian asteroid bases are not responding to routine check-ins. Zethmiran felt a chill of understanding. The human victory had done more than destroy 2 ships. It had given hope to enslaved species across the galaxy. Hidden rebels were beginning to move. Increase patrol schedules around all colony worlds, he ordered. Any sign of rebellion is to be crushed immediately. But he knew it was already too late. The Federation's control depended on fear and the belief that resistance was impossible. The humans had shattered that belief with tungsten slugs and chemical explosives. Time until the human ship reaches the system? 18 hours, Admiral. Zethmiran nodded. In 18 hours, the largest fleet in galactic history would face 1 primitive warship. The outcome should be certain, but the Admiral had lived too long to trust in certainties. Meanwhile, the Indomitable traveled through hyperspace toward its destiny. Captain Junki walked through the ship's corridors. visiting crew members at their stations. The ship hummed with activity as engineers made final adjustments and weapons officers checked their targeting systems. In Engineering Bay 7, Chief Engineer Minho worked with a team of aliens who had joined the ship during its journey. The Altarian engineer Kethmar helped install crystal-based power amplifiers. The Velthari scientist Nithara grew weapon crystals in portable gardens. The Morthak pilot Vorthul adjusted gravity manipulation systems with tentacles that could work in zero atmosphere. "How are the modifications coming?" Junki asked. "Better than expected," Minho replied. "The Altarian crystals can boost our railgun power by 40%. The Velthari resonance weapons can disrupt Federation shield generators, and the Morthak gravity systems, well, those might let us do something really interesting. Such as, Vorthul's translator converted his methane gas speech into human words. Federation ships fight in formations. They depend on staying in precise positions relative to each other. If we can create localized gravity distortions, we can break their formations," Junki finished.
"Force them to fight as individual ships instead of a coordinated fleet." "Exactly."
"But, Captain, the power requirements are enormous. We can only use the gravity weapons a few times before our fusion reactor overloads." Junki nodded. Everything about this mission involved desperate gambles and untested technology. But that was humanity's way. When faced with impossible odds, humans became creative. In the ship's tactical center, Lieutenant Yuna studied Federation battle formations with help from rebel intelligence officers. The holographic display showed typical Federation attack patterns, precise geometric arrangements that maximized firepower while minimizing vulnerability. "They fight like a machine," observed Kethmar. "Every ship has a specific role. Every movement follows predetermined patterns. It makes them very powerful but also predictable." "What happens if we don't follow their rules?" Yuna asked. "No species has ever tried," admitted Nithara. "The Federation has been using these tactics for centuries. They work because civilized species fight in civilized ways." Yuna smiled. "Good thing we're not civilized." She began designing battle plans that violated every principle of proper space warfare. Instead of maintaining formation, the Indomitable would charge directly into the enemy fleet. Instead of targeting specific ships, they would attack the formation itself. Instead of fighting fairly, they would use every dirty trick humanity had ever invented. "This plan is completely insane," Kethmar said after reviewing Yuna's work. "That's the point," she replied. "The Federation expects us to fight like every other species they've conquered. When we don't, their perfect tactics become weaknesses." 18 hours later, the Indomitable dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Nexus system. Long-range sensors immediately detected the Federation fleet. 200 ships arranged in a perfect sphere around Nexus Prime. "That's a lot of ships," Communications Officer Ji-Hai observed. "Signal from the Federation fleet," she continued. "Fleet Admiral Zethmiran demands our immediate surrender. He promises the crew will be treated according to the laws of civilized warfare." "Signal back," Junki ordered. "Tell him humanity doesn't recognize his laws. Tell him we're here to end Federation tyranny forever." The response came quickly. The Federation fleet began moving toward the Indomitable in perfect formation. 200 ships accelerated as one unit, their movements coordinated by advanced computer systems. "They're beautiful," admitted Weapons Officer Chang Min. "Look at that formation. Every ship in exactly the right position. And that's why we're going to win," Captain Junki replied. "Yuna, execute Battle Plan Chaos." The Indomitable began accelerating directly toward the center of the Federation fleet. Its fusion reactor pushed power output to dangerous levels. Its experimental weapons charged to maximum capacity. Its crew prepared for the most desperate battle in galactic history. Behind the human ship, space began to shimmer. Altarian vessels emerged from asteroid fields where they had hidden for generations. Velthari crystal ships rose from the gas clouds of distant moons. Morthak void swimmers materialized from the emptiness between planets. For the first time in 3 centuries, the Federation faced an enemy that fought back. The Battle of Nexus Prime was about to begin. The Battle of Nexus Prime began at exactly 1427 Galactic Standard Time. Fleet Admiral Zethmiran watched his tactical display as 200 Federation ships moved into attack formation. The sphere of warships was perfect. Every vessel in its proper position, every weapon angle calculated for maximum destruction. In the center of this formation, one small human ship accelerated directly toward them. Analysis of enemy vessel, Zethmiran requested. Single ship, approximately 3 kilometers long, his tactical officer reported. Primitive fusion reactor. Crude kinetic weapons. No energy shields detected. Estimated crew of 12,000. 12,000. Zethmiran was surprised. Federation ships carried crews of 300 at most. Why so many crew members? Unknown, sir. Perhaps their technology requires more manual operation. The Federation fleet opened fire when the human ship reached optimal range. 50 plasma cannons discharged simultaneously, filling space with streams of superheated energy. The coordinated barrage had destroyed entire fleets in previous battles. But the Indomitable was not where the plasma beams expected it to be. Captain Junki had ordered maximum acceleration directly upward from the Galactic plane just as the Federation fired. The plasma streams passed harmlessly through empty space while the human ship climbed above the Federation formation. Gravity weapons now, Junki commanded. Chief Engineer Minho activated the Morthak gravity manipulation systems. Invisible forces reached out from the Indomitable and grabbed the nearest Federation ships. The precise formation began to twist and bend as artificial gravity wells pulled vessels out of position. What's happening to our formation? Zethmiran demanded. Unknown gravitational anomalies, his science officer replied. The human ship is somehow creating localized space-time distortions. The perfect sphere of Federation ships became a chaotic tangle. Vessels that had been positioned for coordinated attacks now found themselves pointing in wrong directions. Some ships collided with others as their navigation computers struggled to compensate for the gravitational chaos. All ships, break formation and engage independently, Zethmiran ordered. It was exactly what Captain Junki had hoped for. Instead of fighting one coordinated enemy, the Indomitable now faced 200 individual ships that could not support each other effectively. Release the drones, Junki commanded. The human ship opened like a flower in bloom. 50,000 small drones poured out in all directions. Each drone was no larger than a human fighter craft, but carried chemical explosives and simple artificial intelligence programming. The Federation point defense systems activated automatically. Plasma weapons designed to stop large missiles began firing at the tiny drones, but there were too many targets moving in too many directions. Sir, our defensive systems are being overwhelmed, reported Commander Velthos from the Eternal Justice. The drones are too small and too numerous for effective targeting. Zethmiran watched in disbelief as thousands of small explosions bloomed across his fleet. Individual drones were weak, but 50,000 of them could damage even the largest Federation ships. Weapon systems failed. Sensor arrays went dark. Communication networks broke down. Railguns, target the largest ships, ordered Weapons Officer Changmin aboard the Indomitable. 6 tungsten slugs accelerated to 25% of light speed, enhanced by Altarian crystal amplifiers. They struck the Federation flagship's hull with the force of small asteroids. The Eternal Justice shuddered as kinetic energy converted to heat and destruction. Direct hit on their flagship, Changmin reported. Significant damage to their command section. But the Federation was not finished. Even with their formation broken and their systems damaged, they still had overwhelming numbers. Plasma beams began to converge on the Indomitable from dozens of directions. Evasive maneuvers, Junki ordered. All available power to engines. The human ship twisted through space like a living thing. Its fusion reactor, pushed beyond safe limits, provided power for impossible acceleration. Plasma beams missed by meters as the Indomitable danced between deadly energy streams. Then space began to shimmer around the edges of the battle. Altarian ships materialized from hidden asteroid bases. Their crystal hulls reflected Federation plasma beams back at their attackers. Felthari vessels rose from gas giant clouds, their resonance weapons disrupting Federation shield generators. Morthak void swimmers appeared from the darkness between planets, their gravity manipulation systems adding to the chaos. Sir, we have multiple enemy contacts appearing throughout the system, Commander Velthos reported. At least 300 additional vessels of unknown design. Zethmiran stared at his tactical display in shock. For the first time in Federation history, they were outnumbered. The enslaved species of the galaxy had kept hidden fleets for generations, waiting for someone to prove that the Federation could be beaten. The battle became a storm of violence that stretched across the entire Nexus system. Federation ships designed for coordinated warfare struggled to adapt to the chaotic fighting style of the rebels. Human drones swarmed around Federation hulls while Altarian crystals reflected energy. Weapons and Morthak gravity fields twisted space. Itself, fusion reactor at 130% of rated capacity. Engineering Officer Minho reported. We can't maintain this power output much longer. How long? Junki asked. Maybe 10 minutes before we have a core breach. Junki looked at his tactical display. The Federation fleet was damaged and scattered, but not defeated. If the Indomitable's reactor failed now, the rebels would lose their symbol of hope. Yuna, do we have any tricks left? Lieutenant Yuna smiled grimly. One, but you're not going to like it. Try me. We ram their flagship. Full speed maximum reactor output. Turn the Indomitable into the largest kinetic weapon in galactic history. The bridge fell silent. Every officer understood what she was suggesting. The ship's fusion reactor would be deliberately overloaded, while the vessel accelerated toward the Federation flagship. The explosion would destroy both ships completely. Sir, Communications Officer Ji Hai interrupted. Message from Admiral So-Jin on Earth. Junki activated the communication system. Admiral So-Jin's voice filled the bridge, transmitted across impossible distances by quantum entanglement communicators. Junki, you've done more than we ever hoped. The entire galaxy is rising in rebellion. Every Federation colony world is reporting uprisings. You've given them the hope they needed to fight. Admiral, our reactor is failing. We may not survive much longer. You don't need to survive. You just need to win. Show the galaxy that the Federation can be beaten completely. Make this victory so total that no one will ever fear them again. Junki looked around his bridge at the crew members who had volunteered for this impossible mission. Every face showed the same expression, determination mixed with acceptance. They had always known this was a one-way trip. All hands prepare for ramming speed, he announced over the ship's communication system. It's been an honor serving with you. The Indomitable turned toward the Federation flagship and began its final acceleration. The fusion reactor, pushed beyond all safety limits, provided power for impossible speed. The ship became a spear of metal and energy aimed at the heart of Federation tyranny. Fleet Admiral Zethmiran watched the human ship approach and finally understood what he was facing. These were not civilized beings who could be reasoned with or threatened. These were warriors who would rather die than submit. The Indomitable struck the Eternal Justice at 30% of light speed. Both ships vanished in a ball of nuclear fire that briefly outshone the local sun. The explosion sent shockwaves through space that disabled dozens of nearby Federation vessels. In the aftermath, as Federation survivors broadcast their surrender, rebel ships throughout the system began transmitting the same message to every world in the galaxy. The Federation's reign of terror is over. The galaxy is free. The age of galactic tyranny had ended. The age of freedom had begun. And at the center of it all, humanity had shown the galaxy what was possible when someone refused to surrender. The stars themselves would remember this day.